Altair ibn La'ahad. Altair ibn La'ahad was the very first assassin introduced in the Assassin's Creed series, and he lived a very long time ago during the time of the Crusades. The Crusades were a series of wars where different groups fought over control of Holy Lands, especially Jerusalem. Altair was part of a secret group called the Assassin Brotherhood, whose job was to protect freedom and fight against a group called the Templars. The Templars wanted to control the world by taking away people's free will. Altair was one of the most skilled assassins in the Brotherhood. He was incredibly fast, quiet, and very smart when it came to planning his missions. He wore a white robe with a hood, which helped him hide in plain sight. His most famous weapon was the Hidden Blade, a small knife that he wore on his wrist. This weapon was perfect for taking out enemies quickly and silently. But Altair wasn't perfect. At the start of his story, he made a big mistake by breaking the rules of the Assassin Brotherhood. He let his arrogance get in the way, and this caused the assassins to lose something very important. As punishment, he was stripped of his rank and had to start over from the very bottom. This was a turning point for Altair because he learned from his mistakes and worked hard to prove himself again. One of his most important missions was to stop a man named Al-Mualim, who was the leader of the assassins but secretly betrayed them. Al-Mualim wanted to use a powerful artifact called the Apple of Eden to control people's minds. Altair stopped him and saved the Brotherhood, becoming its leader afterward. As a leader, Altair improved the Brotherhood by creating new rules and making their weapons and techniques better. He also wrote a book called the Codex, which became a guide for future assassins. Altair dedicated his life to protecting freedom and fighting for justice, and he's remembered as one of the greatest assassins in history. Ezio Auditore da Firenze. Ezio Auditore da Firenze is one of the most famous assassins in the entire Assassin's Creed series. He lived during the Italian Renaissance, a time when art, science, and culture were flourishing in cities like Florence and Venice. But Ezio didn't start out as an assassin. In the beginning, he was just a regular young man from a wealthy family. He was charming, playful, and loved spending time with his family and friends. Everything changed when his family was betrayed by powerful people. Ezio's father and two brothers were falsely accused of a crime they didn't commit and were executed in public. This was a devastating moment for Ezio. To survive and protect the rest of his family, he fled Florence and later discovered that his father was secretly an assassin. Ezio then decided to follow in his father's footsteps to seek justice and revenge for his family. Ezio was not only skilled in combat, but also incredibly resourceful. He quickly mastered the tools of the assassins, like the Hidden Blade, which he wore on his wrist. He also learned how to blend into crowds, climb tall buildings, and fight with swords, knives, and even his bare hands. Throughout his journey, he traveled across Italy, visiting famous cities like Venice, Rome, and Monteriggioni, where he rebuilt the Assassin Brotherhood. Ezio's story wasn't just about revenge. Over time, he realized that the fight between the assassins and the Templars was about something much bigger: freedom versus control. The Templars wanted to control people to create order, but the assassins believed in letting people make their own choices, even if it meant chaos. Ezio became a key figure in this struggle, fighting against powerful Templar leaders and uncovering ancient secrets. One of his most important missions was to find and protect the Apple of Eden, a powerful artifact that could control minds. Ezio used his intelligence and bravery to keep it out of the hands of the Templars. He also worked to unite the assassins across Italy, making the Brotherhood stronger than ever. Ezio's journey didn't end with his fight against the Templars. In his later years, he retired to a quiet life, but still played a role in passing on the wisdom of the assassins. He discovered clues about an ancient civilization that existed long before humans, which helped future assassins in their missions. Ezio's life was full of adventure, loss, and learning. He started as a young man seeking revenge, but became a legendary assassin who inspired generations. Even today, he's remembered as one of the greatest heroes in the history of the Brotherhood. Connor Kenway, Ratonhanhake Tun. Connor Kenway, whose real name is Ratonhanhake Tun, was an assassin during the time of the American Revolution in the late 1700s. He was born to a Native American mother and an English father, but his early life was full of hardship. Connor grew up in a small Mohawk village, living peacefully with his tribe. However, everything changed when his village was attacked and burned down by Templars. This tragedy pushed Connor to dedicate his life to fighting for justice and protecting the freedom of his people. Connor's journey to becoming an assassin assassin began when he met Achilles Davenport, a retired assassin. Achilles trained Connor, teaching him how to fight, climb, and use the tools of the assassins, like the hidden blade. Connor was a natural. He was strong, quick, and determined. Unlike most assassins, he also used a tomahawk, a weapon from his Native American culture, which became one of his trademarks. Connor lived during a time of great change. The American colonies were fighting for independence from British rule, and Connor found himself caught in the middle of this revolution. He believed in the ideals of freedom and equality, which made him a natural ally of the American revolutionaries. But Connor didn't fight for just one side. His true goal was to stop the Templars, who were secretly trying to control the revolution for their own gain. One of Connor's biggest challenges was his own father, Haytham Kenway. Haytham was a high-ranking member of the Templars, and their relationship was complicated. While they shared some mutual respect, their opposing beliefs often put them at odds. Connor believed in fighting for the freedom of all people, while Haytham thought that the Templars' vision of control and order was the best way to achieve peace. Throughout his journey, Connor took on many important missions. He helped revolutionaries like George Washington and Paul Revere, but also discovered that not all of them were as noble as they seemed. This taught Connor that fighting for freedom was more complicated than he thought. He also worked to rebuild the Assassin Brotherhood, which had fallen apart in the colonies, making it strong again. Connor's story is about more than just battles and missions. It's about standing up for what you believe in, even when the odds are against you. He fought not just for his own people, but for everyone who deserved to live free. Though his life was filled with challenges, Connor's determination and bravery made him one of the most memorable assassins in history. Edward Kenway. Edward Kenway was a pirate who became an assassin during the golden age of piracy in the early 1700s. He started his life as a poor farmer in England, but Edward always dreamed of a life full of adventure, riches, and freedom. He left his old life behind and joined the world of pirates, sailing the seas in search of treasure and glory. Edward was bold, reckless, and a little selfish at first. He cared mostly about gold and fame, not about the bigger picture of what was right or wrong. But everything changed when he got caught up in the war between the Assassins and the Templars. At first, Edward didn't care much about their conflict. He just wanted to make money. But as time went on, he began to understand the importance of what the Assassins were fighting for: freedom. Edward was an amazing fighter and sailor. He captained a ship called the Jackdaw, one of the most feared pirate ships of the time. He and his crew sailed across the Caribbean, exploring islands, battling enemy ships, and uncovering secrets. Edward used all sorts of weapons, like swords, pistols, and of course the hidden blade. He also used his wits to outsmart enemies and take down powerful Templars. One of Edward's biggest adventures was discovering a place called the Observatory, an ancient structure created by the first civilization. The observatory could be used to spy on anyone in the world, and the Templars wanted to use it to control people. Edward teamed up with the Assassins to stop them and protect the observatory's secrets. Edward's journey was also about personal growth. At first, he was a pirate who only cared about himself, but he eventually realized that his actions had consequences. He lost friends and loved ones because of his choices, and this made him rethink his life. Edward became more selfless and started fighting for something bigger than himself. In the end, Edward fully joined the Assassins and helped their cause. He returned to England, where he tried to live a peaceful life and raise his daughter, but Edward's legacy didn't end there. His grandson, Connor Kenway, would later become one of the most important assassins in history. Edward's story is about transformation. He went from being a greedy pirate to a true hero who fought for freedom. His adventures in the Caribbean made him one of the most legendary assassins in the series. Shay Cormac. Shay Cormac was an assassin who made a surprising and dramatic choice. He left the Assassins and joined the Templars. His story is one of betrayal, loyalty, and the difficult choices people face. Shay lived during the 1700s, around the time of the 7 Years' War, a global conflict that shaped the future of many countries. Shay started as a young and confident member of the Assassin Brotherhood. He was skilled in combat, climbing, and stealth, and like all assassins, he used a hidden blade to take down his enemies. But Shay wasn't like most assassins. He often questioned their methods and decisions. He believed that the assassins were too reckless and didn't think about the damage they caused while fighting the Templars. One day, Shay was sent on a mission to retrieve an ancient artifact called a Piece of Eden, a powerful object created by the first civilization. However, when he tried to take it, the artifact caused a massive earthquake that destroyed an entire city and killed thousands of innocent people. Shay was horrified. He felt that the assassins were responsible for this tragedy. tragedy because they were so focused on their fight against the Templars that they didn't care about the consequences. After this, Shay began to lose faith in the Brotherhood. He tried to convince them to change their ways, but they refused to listen. Feeling betrayed and disillusioned, Shay made the shocking decision to leave the Assassins and join the Templars. He believed that the Templars, despite their flaws, were better at maintaining order and protecting the world from chaos. As a Templar, Shay used his assassin training to hunt down his former allies. This made him one of the deadliest Templars in history. He traveled across North America using his ship, the Morrigan, to fight battles at sea and his skills on land to take down members of the Brotherhood. Shay's actions caused massive damage to the Assassins, weakening them for years to come. Shay's story is unique because it shows the other side of the Assassins versus Templars conflict. While most Assassins fight for freedom, Shay believed that freedom without responsibility could lead to disaster. He thought that order and control, even if it came at a cost, were necessary to prevent chaos. In the end, Shay's decision to leave the Assassins and join the Templars was both tragic and powerful. He lost many friends and became an enemy to the people he once called family, but he also stayed true to his beliefs, even when it meant standing alone. Shay's journey is a reminder that sometimes doing what you think is right can make you the villain in someone else's story. Arnaud Dorian. Arnaud Dorian was an assassin during the time of the French Revolution in the late 1700s. He was born into a wealthy family, but his life was turned upside down at a young age. When he was just a boy, Arnaud's father was murdered. Arnaud didn't know at the time, but his father was secretly an assassin. After this tragedy, Arnaud was adopted by a family friend, François de la Serre, a man who turned out to be a high-ranking member of the Templars. Arnaud grew up in luxury, living in Versailles, but he was a rebellious and reckless young man. He often got into trouble and didn't take life seriously. That all changed when François de la Serre, the man who raised him, was assassinated. Arnaud was falsely accused of the murder and sent to prison. While in prison, he met a man named Pierre Bayek, who revealed that Arnaud's real father was an assassin. Pierre began teaching Arnaud the ways of the Brotherhood, and when Arnaud escaped prison, he officially joined the Assassins. Arnaud's journey was deeply personal. He wasn't just fighting the Templars because of the Brotherhood's mission. He was also seeking justice for the people he had lost. His quest for revenge and redemption often put him in dangerous situations, but it also helped him grow as a person. Over time, Arnaud became a skilled assassin, mastering the hidden blade, swords, pistols, and other weapons. He was also an expert at blending into crowds and using his surroundings to his advantage. One of the most complicated parts of Arnaud's story was his relationship with Elise de la Serre, the daughter of the man who adopted him. Elise was a Templar, which put her on the opposite side of the Assassins' fight. Despite their differences, Arnaud and Elise cared deeply for each other, and often worked together to uncover the truth behind François de la Serre's death. Their relationship showed that the conflict between the Assassins and Templars wasn't always black and white. Arnaud played a major role in the events of the French Revolution. He helped take down corrupt leaders and powerful Templars who were manipulating the revolution for their own gain. He saw firsthand how the revolution, which was supposed to bring freedom and equality, often led to chaos and violence. This made him question whether the ideals of the Assassins were enough to truly change the world. In the end, Arnaud's story was about redemption. He started as a young man full of guilt and anger, but he grew into a wise and capable assassin who fought for justice and freedom. His journey through the turmoil of the French Revolution left a lasting mark on both the Assassin Brotherhood and the world around him. Evie and Jacob Fry. Evie and Jacob Fry were twin assassins who lived during the Victorian era in London in the 1860s. They were very different from each other, but together they became a powerful team that helped shape the future of the Assassin Brotherhood. Their story takes place during the Industrial Revolution, a time when machines were changing the world, but many people were suffering under harsh conditions. Jacob was the bold and brash one. He loved action and often jumped into fights without thinking too much. He preferred to solve problems with his fists and was a master at close combat. Jacob also wanted to help the working class of London, who were being exploited by powerful Templars. He formed a gang called the Rooks, which he used to take control of the city's streets and fight back against the Templars. Evie, on the other hand, was calm, thoughtful, and precise. She was an expert at stealth, preferring to sneak around and strike from the shadows. Evie was also focused on finding and protecting pieces of Eden, powerful artifacts created by the first civilization. She believed in following the Assassin's Creed strictly, and often had to remind Jacob to do the same. Despite their differences, the twins worked together to fight the Templars who were controlling London. One of their main enemies was Crawford Starrick, a powerful Templar who wanted to use the city's industry and influence to strengthen the Templar Order. The Fry twins took on Starrick and his allies, dismantling their operations and freeing the people of London from their control. Jacob and Evie's partnership wasn't always perfect. They often argued about the best way to handle missions. Jacob wanted to focus on taking down Templar leaders and helping the people directly, while Evie believed that finding the pieces of Eden was more important. However, their differences also made them stronger. By combining Jacob's strength and Evie's precision, they were able to accomplish things neither could do alone. The Fry twins also had access to some incredible tools and technology thanks to their ally Alexander Graham Bell, the inventor of the telephone. Bell created gadgets like smoke bombs and a grappling hook that helped them navigate London's rooftops quickly and quietly. In the end, Jacob and Evie proved that teamwork and family bonds could overcome any challenge. Together, they weakened the Templars' control over London and gave hope to the people. Their story is a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming power, a few determined individuals can make a big difference. Bayek of Siwa. Bayek of Siwa is one of the most important assassins in the entire series because he was the one who founded the Assassin Brotherhood. His story takes place in ancient Egypt around 49 BCE during the time of Cleopatra and Julius Caesar. Bayek was a Medjay, which was like a protector or guardian of his people. He lived in a small town called Siwa where he helped keep the peace and looked after his community. Bayek's life changed forever when his young son Kemu was killed by a secretive group called the Order of the Ancients. This group was the early version of the Templars, and they wanted to control Egypt by using a powerful artifact, the Apple of Eden. The loss of his son filled Bayek with grief and anger, and he made it his mission to hunt down the members of the Order and stop their plans. Bayek was a skilled warrior and tracker. He used a variety of weapons like swords, spears, and bows, but his signature weapon was the hidden blade. He accidentally lost his finger while learning to use it, which became a tradition among assassins in later years. Bayek was also an expert at stealth and could move silently to surprise his enemies. Throughout his journey, Bayek traveled across Egypt from the deserts and pyramids to the bustling cities of Alexandria and Memphis. He worked with powerful allies like Cleopatra, who was fighting to reclaim her throne. However, Bayek often questioned whether Cleopatra's goals truly aligned with his own. He learned that not everyone who claimed to fight for justice could be trusted. Bayek wasn't alone on his mission. His wife, Aya, was just as skilled and determined as he was. Together, they fought against the Order of the Ancients and uncovered their plans. Over time, Bayek and Aya realized that their fight wasn't just about avenging their son, it was about protecting the freedom of all people. This led them to form the foundation of the Assassin Brotherhood, which they called the Hidden Ones. The Hidden Ones followed three main principles: stay in the shadows, protect the innocent, and fight against oppression. Bayek's journey wasn't just about revenge, it was about finding purpose and creating something that would last for generations. He believed that people should be free to make their own choices without being controlled by powerful forces. His ideals became the foundation of the Assassin Brotherhood, which would continue to fight against the Templars for centuries. Bayek of Siwa's story is about courage, sacrifice, and the power of standing up for what's right. He was a protector, a fighter, and a leader who inspired countless others to join the fight for freedom. Without Bayek, the Assassin Brotherhood wouldn't exist. Kassandra and Alexios. Kassandra and Alexios are two Spartan siblings whose story takes place in ancient Greece during the time of the Peloponnesian War, around 431 BCE. Players can choose to play as either Kassandra or Alexios, but the main story is the same for both characters. They are descendants of the mighty Spartan king Leonidas, and they inherit his legendary spear, which holds special powers. When Kassandra and Alexios were children, a tragic event tore their family apart. A prophecy from the Oracle of Delphi led to their father being forced to throw one of the siblings off a cliff. Depending on which character you play as, the other sibling is presumed dead, but actually survives and becomes part of a dangerous cult called the Cult of Cosmos. Kassandra or Alexios, depending on the player's choice, grows up as a mercenary, a warrior for hire, roaming the beautiful landscapes of Greece. They are skilled in combat and can use a variety of weapons like swords, spears, and bows. Their most unique weapon is the Spear of Leonidas, a powerful artifact from the first civilization. The spear gives them incredible abilities, like slowing down time, delivering devastating attacks, and enhancing their combat skills. As they explore ancient Greece, Kassandra or Alexios embarks on a journey to uncover their past, reunite their family, and stop the cult of Cosmos. The cult is a secretive group that seeks to control Greece by manipulating wars and leaders for their benefit. The player's choices throughout the game determine whether the siblings can reconcile and defeat the cult together or remain enemies. Kassandra and Alexios are not just warriors, they are also explorers. They travel to famous places like Athens, Sparta, and the Oracle of Delphi, meeting historical figures like Socrates, Pericles, and Hippocrates. They also uncover secrets about the first civilization and their own connection to these ancient beings, learning about the power of artifacts like the Spear of Leonidas and the Pieces of Eden. Their story is about more than just battles and exploration. It's about family, identity, and the choices we make. Kassandra or Alexios must decide whether to follow a path of revenge, forgiveness, or redemption. The game allows players to shape their journey, making every decision feel personal and meaningful. In the end, Kassandra and Alexios stand as legendary warriors who navigate the complex world of gods, politics, and war. Their legacy as descendants of Leonidas and their fight against the cult of Cosmos make them unforgettable figures in Assassin's Creed history. Eivor Varinsdottir. Eivor Varinsdottir is a Viking warrior whose story takes place in the 9th century during the Viking Age. Born in Norway, Eivor's life was shaped by tragedy early on. As a child, Eivor's parents were killed by a rival Viking clan, leaving Eivor an orphan. This loss drove Eivor to become a fierce and determined warrior, earning the nickname Wolf-Kissed because of a scar from a wolf attack during childhood. Eivor grew up as part of the Raven clan, led by their adoptive brother Sigurd. Together, they decided to leave Norway and settle in England, hoping to find a new home and greater opportunities. But settling in England wasn't easy. The land was filled with conflict between Saxons, Vikings, and other factions, and Eivor had to fight to secure a place for their people. Eivor was a skilled fighter and leader, capable of using a wide variety of weapons, including axes, swords, and shields. Eivor also used the Hidden Blade, a signature weapon of the Assassins, although Eivor wore it on top of the wrist instead of underneath, as was traditional. This showed Eivor's Viking pride and willingness to adapt assassin techniques to their own style. During their journey, Eivor formed alliances with different kingdoms and clans across England. They worked with historical figures like King Alfred of Wessex, who was trying to unite England under one rule, and the Viking warrior Guthrum. These alliances were crucial for building the Raven clan settlement, called Ravensthorpe, which became a home for their people. Eivor's story also connected deeply with the Assassins and Templars, though they were known by different names at the time, the Hidden Ones and the Order of the Ancients. Eivor worked with the Hidden Ones to eliminate members of the Order, who were trying to control England through manipulation and power. One of the most fascinating parts of Eivor's journey was their connection to Norse mythology. Through visions and dreams, Eivor experienced memories of Odin, the Allfather of Norse gods, and discovered that they were a reincarnation of Odin. These visions tied into the larger Assassin's Creed story, revealing connections between Norse gods and the first civilization. Eivor's story wasn't just about battles and alliances, it was also about personal choices and loyalty. Their bond with Sigurd was tested as Sigurd began to act more like a king than a brother, and Eivor had to decide whether to follow Sigurd or carve their own path. These decisions shaped the future of the Raven clan in England. In the end, Eivor's legacy as a Viking warrior, leader, and ally of the Hidden Ones made them one of the most important figures in Assassin's Creed history. Their journey showed that even in a time of chaos, courage, loyalty, and determination could build a new home and a brighter future.